Yeah, I love a coffee in the morning. A few months ago, I did a video called Bad Weather Blues, which is about traveling and the fact that the weather's not always the greatest, but you can still have fun. A lot of people liked it, got a lot of positive comments, and so I was really happy with that. But then I released one called Stranded in a Snowstorm, which had the exact opposite effect. I got a lot of people really angry with hateful, sarcastic comments for some reason because their definition of a snowstorm was different than mine. In reality, it wasn't about the snowstorm. It was about being able to understand what is no longer safe to travel and stop, seek shelter if you don't have your own. That's what it was about. It was a day in the life kind of video, and hopefully some people got the positive message from it. But it did put me in a little bit of a quandary because I was actually planning on doing a trilogy. Those were only part 1 and part 2. So part 3 is this video, and it's about the consequences when things go wrong. And because it deals with somebody else's misfortune, I've got to be really, really careful how I present this because I don't want to be exploiting somebody for profit. I don't want to sensationalize it. There's no clickbait. And the reason I picked the title Red Rainbow is because those angry people are probably not even going to look at this video. It's my viewers that I really want to watch this. And there is messages in this. It's very minimalistic. There's not a lot of narration. It's just, again, 24-hour period, day in the life kind of thing. But I hope you get the message that I'm trying to portray, and that is that always be careful, always make sure of your own abilities. And I'm not down on RVs. That's not the message. Please don't get that. But when you have large RVs, you've got to be really, really careful with them. Proper training, understand when you should not be traveling. That's the message. To me, less is more. More can be more trouble. So please be careful. So why is it called Red Rainbow? You're going to have to watch the video to find out. Oh, it's a cold one. I don't know if you can hear it or not, but I think you can see it. That's not just rain, that's freezing rain. One of those traveler's nightmares that my trailer is being covered in ice as we speak. But as far as traveling nightmares go, I think yesterday takes the cake. As I saw something I hope I never see again. Well, as you can probably hear, my trailer's in a really bad windstorm right now. But I have it lucky. Today was a real sobering day because I had a really sobering experience on the interstate. While I was driving I-90 today, the wind was absolutely terrible. It was a crosswind like it is right now. Did you see everything just move right there? But on the highway, it was really, really bad. And it was hard for me to drive. And I had to take a lot of breaks. But as I was going down the interstate, I was looking through my back window, my mirror, and watching my vents because I've had it happen before. Bad winds, my vents blow up, and that's it for my vents. And I was looking back and I was noticing that one of them was, even though they were on bungees, one of them was starting to come loose. But at the same time, about 1,000 feet behind me, out of the corner of my eye, I watched as a fifth wheel trailer, one of the biggest ones out there, flipped in the wind. And it was scary, and it was like slow motion. Just to see it going and falling into the median. And so I got out of my car and I went back to look. Fortunately, the guy was okay. He was, some other people had stopped as well.
This is
insane! But the trailer's going to be a disaster. I really felt bad for him. But this is one of my biggest concerns, is winds on freeways, on interstates, on highways. A lot of people think that it's like where I'm at right now, whereas I'm on a campsite, that this is where I'm going to have issues with wind. And I do have issues with wind now, but it's nothing compared to the issues of these big rigs on highways when the crosswinds come. And that's my biggest concern, and that's why I will never own one of those big rigs. You know, I just hope this guy's day gets a little bit better. Thank God he's okay. He's got a little bit of damage to his truck, but I don't know about his trailer. I'm sure he's thinking twice as well. But what a scary thing. And, you know, after that, when I thought of it, is like, well, he landed on the median. He landed on the left side. If that had been a 2-lane highway, he would have landed in opposing traffic. Or if a car had been passing him, if I'd been passing him, it just gives me the shakes just to think what could have happened. I'm just so glad the guy's okay. I'm sure his trailer is toast because it was massive. You know, it was probably about 40 feet long, but it really puts a lot of concern. And I don't want to exploit this situation, but I really want people to understand that things like this do happen in real life. And you've got to wonder, when you're towing something that's so big and so high, do you really need all that? This is a question I've asked many times. In a similar location last year, I passed by this train of vehicles all joined together. How much stuff do you really need to travel with to be happy? When you look at this in reverse, however, it beckons another question. How do you back up in an emergency like this? You really have to be careful, especially in high wind. Now, I know it's not that guy's fault. It just came out of the blue. But I'm so glad I have a low-profile trailer. Now, right now, it's windy, and I'm at the campsite, and I know a lot of people are concerned with A-frames and camping. But the reality is that I have no issues at the campsite. My issue is getting there safely, and today proves it. The next morning was the perfect backdrop for the old saying, red sky at morning, sailor's warning. And in this case, it did turn to freezing rain later on in the day. But this sunrise was extraordinary in its intensity, a ribbon of crimson hovering above the horizon. The shimmer on the side of my trailer was pretty impressive. However, there was another surprise that was so fleeting, I almost missed it. A red rainbow, glorious, rare, magnificent. Whether a miracle, a sign, or just a marvel of optics, it was a great sight to behold as I set out traveling again. Well, I'm off on that interstate again. Didn't really have much choice. But it does give me a chance to tell the second part of the story about the RV tragedy I witnessed. Because after I went back to my trailer and my Jeep, about the same distance ahead as the trailer that flipped was behind, I was just ready to pull out, and this man comes out of the bushes, just out of nowhere, and thumbs a ride. So it's like the wind's terrible. He must have had a terrible time just even standing there. So yeah, I pulled over and I gave him a ride. And it was a Native American. And I gave him a ride for about an hour and a half. And I was telling him about what happened, and you know, it's like, this just happened a few hundred feet down from where you were. And he says, yeah, the winds are pretty bad here. And we got to talking. Really nice guy. You know, he's like a old weathered face with a bandana across his forehead. And oh boy, here comes the rain. And what really struck me is just how positive this guy was. And we talked about Mount Rushmore. We talked about the Crazy Horse Memorial and stuff like that. And I thought he'd have a really negative opinion of Mount Rushmore. Like, well, yeah, it's white politicians. But no, he didn't. He saw in those men how very smart and brave they were, and how much of a vision they had. Like, he was really actually seemed quite proud of Mount Rushmore. And the Crazy Horse Memorial, you know, he thought it was a good thing, but he did tell me, and it's true, that it's just one artist's perception, because there are no photographs of Crazy Horse. But he thought it was a good thing. And although I was, you know, because I just saw something that I thought was really terrible, and he just sort of really calmed me down, and was such a positive influence that I felt so much better after that. And he told me the story about the Crazy Woman Creek in Wyoming, that, you know, he went on, is like, you know, the original people, the people that farmed, that homesteaded and went across the prairies in the pioneer days, how tough it must have been for them. And there is one spot where this lady would see the homesteaders, and she'd help them out. She'd give them food and whatever they needed. Very, very kind, but she didn't talk. She just sang and sort of did little poems and stuff like that. So they call her the Crazy Woman, and that's where the Crazy Woman Creek came from. But all the stories were just so wonderful and nice, and, you know, I'm glad I picked up the hitchhiker, and I picked up this gentleman, because it just made me feel so much better. Gave me that positive outlook on life again after seeing such a tragedy. Days later, as I drove west past the highway billboards, another sign caught my eye. After hearing the hitchhiker's story, I wanted to see the Crazy Woman Creek myself. So I sat on its banks, trying to imagine how hard it was for those early travelers doing their best to get by in such a rugged, unforgiving landscape. I also thought of the woman who so many dismissed as crazy, yet was always willing to help a stranger. Who were the real crazy ones? Well, I'll leave you with my red rainbow and a wish that you have a safe journey wherever you go.